So I need to ask, this person that you blew up at, did they say that... let's see, what did I just do? Great successes in fusing. I don't know if we've ever seen one of these, but go ahead and unlock that. Did they say the main reason why they wanted to do it is just because they wanted to dress in a dress? I missed the first half of this again because we've been talking. The Goron failed to rediscover that ancient art of smithing, but said he got closer in his research due to what you brought him. And thanks, he taught you a Goron smithing technique. Apparently, I can also do the monster one. A boy heard that the Skull Lake rumors were true, wants a shop at the Fang and Bone, but he's been unable to get monster parts to trade. Help the boy out and get him some. Okay, well here, have some monster parts. With monster parts in hand, the boy got to shop at the Fang and Bone. It seems he really just wanted the fun of going there, however, so he gave you what he bought for free. And that gets us the Zolfos Mask. Didn't actually unlock anything, but fine. We'll go ahead and unlock this. So why do you get to make that decision? You see the Skull Lake merchant in the middle of battle, but he's too hungry to sell anything, and has only spices. You can't eat those. Bring him some main ingredients to cook with. Here, have main ingredients. With your help, the Skull Lake merchant made monster stew. Though it's got a bizarre color, he thinks it's seriously good creature cuisine. Give the stew a try sometime. He gave you the recipe. So monster stew, we also got all stats plus 15%, but max health minus 50%. Kind of interesting. And we got the Lionel Mask. Neat. What did that do? That unlocked the next monster merchant thing. Cool, let's go do that. And apparently I need to buy more fish. Okay, so you didn't blow up at them, but what allows you, or not allows not the word I really want. Is it the word I want? Now I think about it, it might be the word I want. Why do you get to decide that they're disrespecting themselves? And why do you get to decide that they're doing that just to fit into gender roles? Now that you know the Skull Lake merchant better, he's promised to start offering something new for you. Trade with him at your earliest convenience. Okay, here, have a bunch of stuff.
Beautiful work.
The merchant made an excellent offer to you, his loyal patron. From now on, he'll trade you monster extract if you bring him the right materials. Okay, so now we have a repeatable monster extract trade spot. I'll go ahead and do this too. The researcher with a ravenous appetite has recalibrated her eating habits, preferring to fuel up with plants and vegetables. Help her find some palatable produce. Okay, so this will get me more Sheikah sensor registrations. The researcher enjoyed what you brought for her recalibrated meals. She soon had her eureka moment, and found a way to make the Sheikah sensor more powerful still. Okay, so we can do more shit with the Sheikah sensor. What is this? Two-handed weapons enhanced ability, sure. The owner of the butcher shop in Hateno Village, deeply moved when he heard about the volunteer army, wants to send the troops some tasty cuts. Help fill up his larder. Sure.
Hey.
Link and the butcher brought the volunteer army a heap of tasty meats. Apparently he was a talented soldier in his youth. He taught all the fighters his two-handed sword technique. So if I perform dodges more easily before receiving major damage. Interesting. Okay. Not sure how that works, but sure. What is this? Bonus combo for the spear. I can afford this, sure. A big group of aspiring spear masters came to the training ground, but there isn't room for all of them. Maybe Link can provide the instructor some materials to expand his facilities. And Wander, I'm not trying to attack you in any way or specifically go after you, but this is, I kind of feel, one of those things that people should think about when it comes to this sort of thing. Namely, if it doesn't harm anyone, and especially if it doesn't harm you, why are you trying to step in? Why does what you believe have anything to do with what they do? It's Goron's spirit. What is the current... Is it not Blood Moon right now? I don't see a Blood Moon. Okay, I don't see a Blood Moon. Let's see. What's this one? This Ika Clan attacks. This is Battle of Hyrule Field. Let's go do this again. So I think that's what I want to ask you is, first of all, why... Yeah, what if I just decided I didn't want to refer to you as female? But why do first of all, why does what you believe have anything to do with what they're allowed to do? It's kind of a major thing that goes on in society right now, that apparently someone else's belief gets to decide what I get to do. Again, if it doesn't harm anyone. But another thing that I kind of want to ask is, why do they have to prove anything to you? Why do they have to convince you? Why are you the arbiter? Okay, apparently we found basically none of the Koroks, so we're gonna spend some time looking for Koroks. Because I don't know if we're going to at all lose this battle. Oh, can I even do anything right now is the major question, though. I don't know if I can. Okay, let's go cut through and open the map a little bit.
Right.
Yes, yes, yes. I'd like to get to actually playing the game, please. Okay. Okay, so enemies coming from top left. Oh, it wants me to go up there? Okay. By the way, this is what the game is like on easy. In case you were curious why I didn't play this game on easy. It's because playing on, like, lower difficulties, it's just this all day long. Enemies just kind of vanish, you know, they just kind of disappear. Even if I didn't have the Master Sword, like, we would just be cutting through enemies left and right and just doing this. They're strong? You sure? I know it's a lot easier for me to just talk because I'm on a camera, and it's a lot easier for me to just say something and it gets through. And typing takes a while. So by all means, like, if you're willing to talk about your views, I'm gonna listen. I don't agree, but I'm not gonna shut you down. Yeah, these guys just die very fast. Keep in mind, this was the first mission in the game, and Link's stupid powerful. Difficulty is not going to overcome that. Hi, Bobohui. I hope I got that right. Welcome. We are having deep and heavy topic conversations. Yeah. I am grossly overleveled. Thanks for following, Bobohui. What is your joke?
Right.
Base, this was the first mission in the entire game. I'm glad I pronounced it correctly. There's apparently a slight delay going on right now, so it takes me a second to, like, rewind my mind back to what we were actually talking about. Did I pick this up? Do I need this? I don't need that. Okay. Okay, so we did find... Did we find... Yeah, we found one. Found one of our missing Koroks. My dog has decided to claim my lap, and she's laying with her head right on my wrist. It's not uncomfortable in any way, but it does, like... Now I can't move my arms. And I get very stiff and sore if I hold the same position for too long. So it's kind of a problem when she prevents me from moving. I mean, that's the thing I really want. I had a conversation with a acquaintance. I've talked about this in the past. I actually had two of these conversations, both with Republican white men, and I kind of had to talk to them about, you know. And I have to be very specific about this because someone corrected me on this the other day. Oh, hey, cool. We were talking about, like, you know, the relationship of white men with people of color and why things like the Black Lives Matters movement is important. Now, I'm going to say this very specifically. Black Lives Matters movement, not the organization, because I have been told the organization is kind of a nightmare. And that, you know, the organization is a problem, so I gather that it's the movement that is important. And we had a long conversation about things like what, you know, people of color go through in this country. I had to... They actually, in order for me to try to drill this point into their head, I had to go look up, like, graphs of educational levels and medium incomes to kind of show them, no, like, this is true. People of color are much worse off than white men, white people in general, white men especially, just across the board. Yes, there are individual people who are doing very well. Snoop Dogg and Kanye are doing fantastic. They are not representative. But the point I'm making is that I had a long conversation with both of them. Neither of them were willing to... Neither of them were willing to back down or change their thoughts in any way. So I told them, look, I don't necessarily need you to change your thoughts. I don't necessarily need you to change your mind. I do want you to think about it, though. There's nothing to be gained by attacking you or... and also, let me pause for a second. Mobo, you're not wrong. That's Breath of the Wild in a nutshell. And especially in this game, Link is absolutely my most powerful character, and I haven't made him naked yet, but he does just kind of run out and attack things. And I apologize, normally we have a little bit more lighthearted fun on this channel, but today is the day of heavy topics, apparently. So we're all discussing heavy topics and heavy things, so I apologize if we're a little bit more somber. Normally, things are a little bit more lighthearted, and we're laughing at me being an idiot. But, just made up that joke. I mean, you're not wrong. That is Breath of the Wild. That is, No, you're not breaking the mood at all. No, not at all. Having jokes when we're talking about this stuff, not necessarily about the topic in question, but just a joke to kind of lighten the mood a little bit is definitely a good thing, so thank you. Exactly, base. But all I really ask is that when we have these conversations is, number one, you know, just listen to the other side. Because I'm definitely listening to what you're saying. I disagree with it. And there are reasons why, and, you know, I've stated those reasons. But kind of the big thing is, I think your opinion is wrong, and I think your opinion is bad, but that has nothing to do with you as a person. Your, you know, ability to show how you are as a person depends on where you go from here. Even if you decide I am full of shit, which you very well might, that does happen, and very frequently I am full of shit. But even if you decide I'm full of shit, like, good people can have opinions I disagree with and opinions that I think are bad, and that doesn't necessarily make them not good people, it means that they are potentially flawed. I'm also potentially flawed. Yeah, when I said that we're talking about a heavy topic, this is where we're at. I mean, Waka is a very reasonable example. Black Lives Matter is a good example, Mobo, of what we're talking about. Right now, we're actually more talking about how I'm not paying any attention to the game right now. I'm just exploring. We're actually talking more about folks who are transgendered and under what situations you can say that you're transgendered, and you know what you must do in order to be considered a woman or a man. What are like minimum requirements? That's kind of what the conversation is. You know, that's kind of what the conversation is right now. Is just what has to happen, and if someone does not agree, if someone thinks that, you know, a transition was not warranted, you know, that there is a person who is calling themselves a man or a woman that is not kind of living up to it, so to speak. I guess that's kind of the best way to describe it. If you're saying that you are, you know, that you want to be referred to as a man or a woman, but you're not kind of filling your end of the bargain, right? Like, you're saying, refer to me as a woman, but you're not doing anything that would say you're a woman. You know, you're acting in all ways like a man and saying, but I want you to refer to me as a woman. Where does that put you? You know, what should the response be to you? Because your response could be that, no, I'm not referring to you as a woman because you're not acting like one. And the response could be, otherwise, well, you know what? You're not acting the way I expect you to or the way I want you to, but at the same time, this is what you want to be referred to as. And in my opinion, that second decision is the correct one. That it doesn't matter what I think about what defines a man or a woman, if anything. What matters is, how do you see yourself and what do you want in the situation? And also, if I do even say that there is something wrong here, that, you know, something is happening and that there's a reason for me to deny you this particular request, the next question that comes up is, if I was to call you as you wish, if I was to call you a woman or a man, whatever it is that you wanted from me, does that hurt anything? Is there any harm being done to me or someone else that would justify me saying, no, I will not do this? And if there isn't, I don't think there's any good reason. If we have someone who, you know, for sake of argument, this is not what the conversation was, but I'll bring up this example because I think this is a... you press B and shoot quickly? I usually don't actually use the bow. You know, I really don't find the bow to be amazingly useful in most cases. Hinox, it's incredibly powerful against, but standard enemies, I don't like using it. If we had, for sake of argument, let's say we had a person who went around, you know, raping women constantly, right? They were constantly jumping on women and, you know, penetrating them and, you know, just constant issues. And then they were brought before court, and they tried to defend themselves, saying, but wait, I'm not a man, I'm a woman. So therefore, you can't, you know, you can't do anything to me. So, if someone said that, okay, look, this is actually harm. This is someone who is trying to get around a law or is trying to get away with something terrible they have done by claiming to be transgender, saying that was my reason, that's my justification. You know, you could say it's an insanity plea if you wanted to, but someone who said something like that specifically to get out of it, that's a great reason to potentially reject that claim. Because this is someone who, accepting this claim is harmful. You know, this is something that does hurt someone. But I had to stretch really hard to find that. And Wonder Girl, what you're describing is malicious intent to circumvent the law. Thank you. I'm glad that you actually have a word for it. The thing you gotta remember, hold on, we're gonna pause this for a second, because this is more important. Let me look this up. Who here knows the oatmeal? Who knows this amazing author? Because, we're gonna explore, not author, artist. Or author, I mean, both. We're gonna explore this together, you and I. But let's see. I need a window capture. I need a window capture on Chrome. So let's go through this for a second, because I think this is incredibly relevant to what we're talking about here today. I think it's the right one. You're not going to believe what I'm about to tell you. I'm going to tell you some things. You're not going to believe these things I tell you, and that's okay. You have good reason not to. But I need you to keep listening, regardless of what you believe. I don't care if you're liberal, conservative, or somewhere in between. I don't care if you're a cat person, dog person, or a tarantula person. Morning person or night owl, iPhone or Android, Coke or Pepsi, I don't care. All I care about is that you read this to the end. Sound good? Let's begin. You may have heard that George Washington had wooden teeth. I put the fur in First Amendment, says George Washington. He lost most of his teeth in his 20s and had a set of dentures made out of wood. It's a disturbing visual, the founding father, commander-in-chief, and first president of the United States, click-clacking his way through a ham sandwich. Would you like a bite? Except it isn't true. In 2005, at the National Museum of Dentistry in Baltimore, laser scans were performed on Washington's 200-year-old dentures and found them to be made of gold, lead, hippopotamus, ivory, horse, and donkey teeth. His mouth was a petting zoo of nightmares. Upon learning this information, I want to ask you something. How did it feel to learn this new fact about George Washington's teeth? I stated a thing. I provided evidence of that thing, and presumably you now believe in the thing I stated. Presumably, your belief in the composition of George Washington's teeth has changed with little or no friction. Presumably, the next time you're at a party and George Washington's teeth come up in conversation, you're going to proudly impart this newfound knowledge to your fellow partygoers. Yeah? Terrific, let's continue. What if I told you George Washington had another set of teeth? What if I told you this other teeth wasn't made from wood, ivory, or any of the aforementioned materials? What if I told you it was made from the teeth of slaves? Now, let's try this again. How did it feel to learn this fact about George Washington? Any more of that friction I mentioned earlier? Before we go further, allow me to reiterate. I am not here to convince you that George Washington was a bad person. I could go through all my cited sources and cherry-pick arguments that either deify or demonize George Washington. I could paint a portrait of a monster, or I could exonerate a patriot. But as I said before, I don't care. It's not the point. The point is to give you an emotional barometer of how you feel when presented with new ideas. Because you may have noticed that the first fact about George Washington's teeth was rather easy to accept. I would even wager that when I told you the first fact, you accepted it without hesitation. But when I told you the second fact, you immediately checked my sources, and are now furiously composing an informed yet incendiary retort with which you will boldly deliver to me in the form of a sour, blustering Facebook comment. And that's okay. That's all part of it. Let's try a few more. Napoleon Bonaparte was not short. He was 5'7", which was taller than the average Frenchman of the time. By the way, that's actually taller than I am. Thomas Crapper did not invent the flush toilet, nor did the word crap come about because of his name. Houseflies live for about a month, not 24 hours. Humans don't explode in a vacuum, nor do we boil. We just pass out from lack of oxygen, and then we die. The three emotional phases of being blown out of an airlock. Shock, more shock, and oh god, still in shock. Again, as you read these facts, take stock of how you feel. I'm guessing you softened to the last few fairly easily. Let's try a few more, and then we're done. There is zero evidence that Jesus Christ was born on December 25th. It's actually rather convenient that this came up today, actually, given that Christmas is in 2 weeks. 8 days. Not 2 weeks. A week from today, right? Is it Thursday or Friday? Friday. 8 days. The Pledge of Allegiance was written by a socialist. Please tell that to your Republican friends. 6 of the 7 justices who voted in favor of Roe v. Wade were Republican appointed. How did those last 3 feel? Depending on your beliefs, I'm guessing it may have put some of you about to hear. At the very least, you can concede that it felt different to hear those statements compared to the ones about Napoleon or houseflies, yes? But why? Why do we easily soften to some ideas but not to others? Why do we gnash our teeth when presented with evidence counter to our beliefs? Why do we not only ignore this evidence, but dig our heels in deeper and believe more strongly in the opposing arguments? Why would providing more evidence make someone less likely to believe an idea? It seems backwards and batshit fucking bonkers to me. Me too, actually. It turns out batshit fucking bonkers is a name in the world of neuroscience. It's called the backfire effect, and it's a well-documented psychological behavior. A few years ago, at the University of Southern California's Brain and Creativity Institute, a study was conducted where participants were placed into an MRI machine. Once inside, they were presented with counter-arguments to strongly held political beliefs. A few examples. Laws restricting gun ownership should be made more restrictive. Gay marriage should not be legalized. As participants were read these counter-arguments, various parts of their brains were scanned for activity. What the study revealed was that the same part of the brain that responds to a physical threat responds to an intellectual one. This area of the brain is known as the amygdala and is the emotional core of your mind. Unfortunately, it makes us biologically wired to react to threatening information the same way we'd react to being attacked by a predator. From an evolutionary standpoint, it makes sense. If you were a caveman and another caveman threw a boulder at your head, you wouldn't react by logically debating the pros and cons of getting brained. Core beliefs are the beliefs which people cherish the most deeply. They usually develop from childhood and are compounded by life experiences. Core beliefs are inflexible, rigid, and incredibly sensitive to being challenged. When I told you that George Washington's dentures were made from animal bones, it probably didn't ruffle many feathers. But when I suggested they were made from slave teeth, I'm guessing it caused strife with some of you. There are obvious cultural reasons for this. Slavery is a sensitive hot-button issue. But there are biological reasons as well. The amygdala of your brain is screaming battle stations. Some of you may have held a worldview that George Washington was a patriot and a hero. By presenting negative information about him, it challenged that worldview. Your brain loves consistency. It builds a worldview like we build a house. It has a foundation, and a frame, and windows and doors. It knows exactly how everything fits together. If a new piece is introduced and it doesn't fit, the whole house falls apart. Your brain protects you by rejecting that piece. It then builds a fence and a moat, and refuses to let in any visitors. This is why we have the backfire effect. It's a biological way of protecting a worldview. Just remember that your worldview isn't a perfect house that was built to last forever. It's a cheap condo, and over time, most of it will turn to shit. So what do we do about this? Some of you have probably been nodding along in agreement, waiting for me to deliver a series of clever, combative ways to offset the backfire effect. Disappointing truth is that I don't have much advice for you. I don't have a way to change the behavior of 7.5 billion people carrying their beliefs around like precious gems wrapped in hand grenades. Sure, there are ways of changing people's minds that are more effective than others, but ultimately they all fall short. This is compounded by the internet, where anything can be cited as a source, and every disagreement degrades into a room full of orangutans throwing feces at one another. Best I can do is make you aware of it, so you can identify the backfire effect in your own brain. Which isn't easy. The mind cannot separate an emotional cortex from the logical one. And one could argue that this emotional underbelly is what makes us human. But I would argue that it's also what makes us animals. I sometimes pretend the amygdala of my brain is in my pinky toe. When a core belief is challenged, I imagine it yelling insane things at me. I let it yell. I let it have its moment. I let the emotional cortex fight its little fight. And then I listen, and then I change. Because this universe of ours is so achingly beautiful, and we're all in it together. We're all going in the same direction. I'm not here to take control of the wheel, or tell you what to believe. I'm just here to tell you that it's okay to stop. To listen. To change. I forget how long ago he put this out. He put it out a long damn time ago, and I read it a long damn time ago. I was hoping it had a date on it. But important thing. And I have a feeling. Yeah, long. Let's get back to the game. But I have a feeling that that is what happened. That on both sides, both people involved were charged with a challenge to a built-in belief, and both people reacted combatively. It's just what people freaking do. With time and effort, and I'm not saying I'm very good at this. I'm really not. I get very combative very quickly, and I'm working to fix it because I know it's not good. But with time and effort, it's something you can work on, and it's something you can stop and sit and listen. And that's very important that we can do. It's very, actually, honestly, right now, it's even more important than it ever was, because we have a political climate where we have two parties that people who subscribe to these parties are very, very polar opposites, and they have very deeply held beliefs, and they get very angry, both sides, when, they get very angry, both sides of them do, when these beliefs are challenged. Combative, aggressive, and if people had that ability to sit back and ask, why am I feeling this way, we might have a much nicer society than we do now. We're about to go into a change in politics, a very distinct one, where a man who I hope is as genuine, yep. Read this entire thing, I think I pronounced everything correctly, and then I screw up that word. A man who I hope is as genuine as I feel that he is potentially going to take over, leadership of the United States. And he wants to bring people together. That is his aim. Or at least that's his stated goal. I hope that's his actual goal. But he wants to bring people together. And the thing is, a lot of people are not going to be cool with that. And it is really important that those of us who do agree with this man, those of us who are on his side, who are in his party, or just flat agree with him in general, if you're, not necessarily in either, are willing to work with those that are on the other side, are willing to listen, are willing to be, supportive, and are, kind of generally willing to kind of be there. It's kind of a very important thing, because there's going to be a lot of people who are going to have their worldviews challenged over the course of the next several years, and they're not going to want to deal with it. But having someone there who can listen and calmly talk to them and try to help them through a transition might do more than you could really ever imagine. Because that is what happened. A lot of Republicans didn't necessarily get converted to Democrats, but they did get, taught that voting just on party lines is not smart and will harm this country. And it's because they took time to sit back and think about their views and think about what was going on, and they made those changes. And it applies to everything that we do. Like I said, that's why, not even conservative or progressive, those are, they're parties. I know it's often said this is exactly what George Washington didn't want. It's exactly what a lot of the Founding Fathers didn't want for the exact things that are happening now. Just taking this happens all over the place. It's not just a political thing. People pick a label, and they choose to just be that. I mean, you say that, Base, but there are people who... Give an example. I have a couple of friends who are gay. Not, no big deal. They're gay. I'm saying this because there's a point that leads off of this, not in order to, say there's something wrong with that. But the problem is that they were not accepted as younger people because of being gay. So their response to that was to slowly convert their behavior to being more and more of what a lot of people would refer to as flaming homosexuality or overtly being sexual. They fought more and more, and actually changed over a couple of years, to being even more representative of the stereotype. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. Absolutely not. But it's kind of like, in some cases, it's kind of like that friend who said they were a goth and they just dug deep into that culture and just lived it. Not necessarily, this is not really them, but it was very important that they become that identity. Some people do that. They feel a need to prove that identity, and that becomes their entire identity. And so even though, conservative or progressive is not necessarily a party, it is something that people identify as, and they can be just as aggressively obstinate as someone who says, I'm Republican or I am a Democrat. Because it is it is a thing that they can embody. Yeah, I wish that was my slogan. I have to say that, do what I say, not as I do, because sometimes I'm very bad. Oh, hey, here's the King's Axe. That's cool. I think we ever came through here before. Okay, I've got a couple more areas to look at, then we're leaving this battlefield. Unless you're talking about how my speech patterns have a very winding way, in which case I apologize. Yeah, people get defensive. They want to attack back. And I find that if possible, if we do not attack, but we sit and ask to explain and then respond and kind of build this feeling of you are heard, it helps people be more receptive. They might not necessarily agree. The two gentlemen who I spent several hours with apiece talking about Black Lives Matters and, police brutality or, these guys didn't necessarily agree with me. Some of the conversations were talking about, police need to be a little more controlled and need to not do as much. I am of the opinion that, personally, I think the police need to be asked to do less. I do feel... okay, we're going to get very political, and I apologize if this ruffles anybody's feathers. I don't apologize if you're offended. I apologize if this ruffles feathers. I feel there's a difference. I do feel that police need to be defunded. Not because I think that the police deserve less money. It's that I think the money that goes to police need to be going to a separate department so that different people are taking care of different things. I think everybody's going to be happier that way. And according to a lot of other countries I know, that is how it actually worked out. I feel that way. These friends did not. They were willing to listen. We were willing to talk and hear each other's viewpoints. They didn't agree with me at the end of the day. And that's fine. I don't need them to. But hopefully I gave them something to think about. Different badges, different words, I think is the problem. But I don't know enough in that direction. I'll admit ignorance. And yeah, I do appreciate you being here, Base, regardless. One of the reasons I try not to get onto these topics too much because they tend to take up the entirety of the stream. But there's no need for us to fight with each other or things like that. At the end of the day, we express our opinion, we give evidence that we are correct, and then we let the other person make a decision. If they don't make the decision you like, you can try to continue talking to them about it. You can try to continue convincing them. But you don't have the right to force them. They don't have an obligation to agree with you. And that does suck for a lot of people. I can try all I might to convince a white supremacist that they are wrong and that what they are doing is harmful and they should change how they act to other people, to people of color especially. And that what they're doing is just hurting everybody. They might not agree with me at the end of the day. And as much as I want to, as much as I want to fix that, to convince them, to force them to change, I can't. I don't have that ability. I can try my hardest. At the end of the day, I gotta say, look, I can't do that. So the only thing I can do is I can stop them from doing harm. But I can't stop what they believe in. I can just try to convince them otherwise with all of my ability. But at a certain point, you reach the end of that ability. You reach the point where you can't do more. And to continue trying to do so is foolhardy, and it hurts you and the other person. Oh, hey. Figured there'd be something back here somewhere. Yeah. Well, I'm not gonna lie. The, one of the two men in question is a friend of a friend who I don't hold any particular love for. For a variety of reasons, I do find him to be quite obnoxious and grating, personality-wise. I put up with him because he is a friend of that friend. And, I, both desire my friend's happiness, and I also want to spend time with her. And, if she also wants to spend time with him, great. She realized quite quickly that the other friends of hers, myself included, were very unhappy with this man and that we did not want to spend time with him, and she stopped inviting him around. The other one is a, basically a guild mate. Oh yeah, my shit's terrible. We all know this. Hopefully one day it'll be fixed. It might actually be water in the lines, believe it or not. Okay, I think I've done, like, everything I can. I think we're still missing some Koroks, but... Let's go check these boxes over here, see if one of them's hiding in one. Nope. But at the end of the day, Wander, like, the best I can do is try to calmly work with you and convince you of an opposing viewpoint. And if you're receptive, I can keep trying. If you reject, I've kind of done all I can, and I have to accept that. Because I can't force you to agree with me. Okay, what does it want me to do now? Okay, we have a little bit more to do. I forgot how long this mission was. Yeah, all I ask is that you think about it, and I find that being introspective really helps. Thinking, back and going, why did I act like this? Because that's a great way to change things. And being able to say, you know what, I felt attacked, I felt defensive. That tells you a lot. And that's one of the reasons why one of my questions was, how does it harm you? Because if it doesn't harm you, there's no reason to act that way. No reason to feel that way. You just have to convince yourself that, that that's the case. One of my favorite things I saw, just people talking about, religion in general, was there was a statement that, someone can be atheist, but the atheist may say that it's silly to believe in God or to go to church, something like that. But they have no right to stop you from doing so. So why does someone who goes to a church that, disagrees with gay marriage feel that they can stop two gay men or two gay women from marrying? Your beliefs should not prevent someone else from doing something, with the caveat, as long as it doesn't actually harm anyone. Especially if it doesn't affect you. Yeah, respecting someone and liking someone are absolutely not the same things. They never have been, they never will be. You can respect someone even if you don't like them. Even if you don't agree with them. I think my favorite example of that, an example of, I can't tell if it's me. Hold on. Did I fruits on funny? That's a very good question. I have a very funny face to begin with. Let me get us off this music, because I actually don't like that particular song all that much. It looks like my upload is failing. Yep, my upload is failing. Why is this happening again? They keep on going backwards. It's a little bit early in the day, but I might just need to call it for the day. See, like a dolly picture? It's lowering the bit rate to match my internet. And apparently my internet is not uploading at all. Like, I'm looking at the numbers, and they're absolutely terrible. I want to try to reset my modem again, but that can take up to 10 minutes if we reach that. If you might just have to call it, because 10 minutes and you guys are not going to want to be here anymore. What's this one again? Oh, right, that's that one. My net doesn't like anything. I would try to show you what my speed test looks like. But, you guys wouldn't see it. Because visuals ain't working. Heavy cover. You know what? You're not wrong. Try to check a couple of things here. Well, we'll give it a minute. We'll see if it stabilizes. I can try resetting. Yeah, no, that's exactly what I'm thinking. Okay, I'll be back. I'll see if I can get this to happen.